Unsystematic, refreshing, humorous, the Earth's spiritual energy is reviving, and a powerful beast appears to massacre humans on a large scale. An ordinary high school student is deaf in both ears, blind in one eye, and the ability awakens. Haotian awakens his divine pupil ability, but no one knows who looks down on him. When targeted by the whole world, Xiaoting appears to save Haotian. Chapter 1. Awakening of Abilities, Schoolmaster Lin Fan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Lingcheng, a regular high school Haotian, sat alone in the seat by the window. At this point on the playground, a Mediterranean old man in a suit stood on the podium and shouted loudly, "Today is the time for you to awaken your powers. I hope you can do your best to infuse your spiritual power into the power column on the right side of the leadership platform. It will display your abilities and qualifications, hoping that after obtaining these abilities, you will still be a good teenager. You are the 7th generation of superpowers trained by the country. So you are the hope of the country." Suddenly the students under the leadership platform were whispering and discussing with each other. A group of students in the crowd squinted their eyes and couldn't open them, saying loudly, "Principal, can you please stop moving? Oh my eyes are almost blind." "Yes, yes. Principal, can you wear a wig? Oh, my eyes." Since the revival of spiritual energy, it has been 20 years since space cracks appeared around the world, and unknown creatures similar to Earth's animals, commonly referred to as supernatural beasts by humans. When he appeared, he massacred a large number of humans, reducing the global population of 7 billion to 3 billion within 3 years. As for modern thermal weapons, they have no effect on those psychic beasts. At this moment, Haotian looked out the window and didn't know what he was thinking. Suddenly, he stood up and shouted, "It's over. It's over. It's over. I'm going to awaken my powers today. How could I forget about this? The class teacher should talk about me again then." Actually, Haotian didn't forget, it's just that no one notified him. When he was a child in an orphanage, he was maliciously spoken loudly in her ear by a child from the orphanage, which shattered his eardrums and caused him to be unable to hear in both ears. Naturally, he couldn't hear when the teacher notified him, only knowing that he would awaken his abilities recently. Subsequently, Haotian rushed towards the teaching building in a frenzy, like a running leopard. It's like his wife is in a hurry to have a child. "In a few minutes, Haotian." "You're late again, Haotian," said Haotian, bending over and standing in front of the class teacher, panting heavily. Haotian just wanted to explain. "Stop talking. All the teachers and students in the school have finished testing their abilities, and it's only you who's left behind. You should go quickly." But in Haotian's eyes, he couldn't hear anything and only looked at the place where the homeroom teacher was pointing. Haotian roughly understood the meaning and walked confidently to the power column, clasping his hands together and swinging up and down. "Heavenly Spirit. Earth Spirit. Can you give me a stronger power? Oh my goodness. It's not easy for me either. Give me a more amazing ability." Haotian walked step by step towards the power pillar, but each step was difficult. "Come on. A powerful ability." Later, Haotian touched the power column with his hand, and suddenly the power column froze like a broken net. Then, 3 big characters were displayed on the top. "No power, qualification X. Damn it. It's over. It's over. How could I not have any abilities?" At this moment, all the teachers and students in the school coincidentally looked at the power pillar and burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha. I'm laughing to death. Ha ha ha." There are still people lying on the ground rolling and laughing. Someone in the crowd said, "I didn't expect that. I thought my fire-type superpower qualification was already very useless, but now I don't expect that there is someone even more useless than me, laughing at me. No, my stomach hurts so much." Then, the person next to him shouted, "Hurry up. Hurry up. Someone is laughing and fainting, hurry up." After a while 2 doctors dressed in white rushed out of the teaching building and carried the person away with a burden. And Haotian was also full of disappointment. He was not well received since childhood, unable to hear in both ears, and was born blind in one eye as an orphan. Haotian looked at the power pillar and said, "After all, it's just a little hope. Don't you give it to me." Looking back, the disappointment in the eyes of all the teachers and students in the school may be in his heart, and he may want some comfort. No one, from old to young, was willing to be friends with him. They all thought he was an outsider and didn't play with him. So Haotian's personality is very solitary, but he always smiles and ignores all unhappy things. The principal also looked at Haotian and said, "Kid, just be an ordinary person." Then all the teachers and students were asked to disperse, and everyone went to eat just as they had ordered. Haotian returned to the classroom alone and walked very slowly, especially slowly, like a body without a soul, walking corpses. Haotian returned to his seat, with mixed feelings in his heart, unsure of what was good and even more at a loss. What can be done to contribute to the country in this earth where psychics are everywhere and this kind of person without psychics? Suddenly, the door of Haotian's class was kicked open, and a yellow-haired person walked in, followed by a dozen or so young men, all of whom were mentally challenged. "Haotian. Come here." His mother. The leader is the yellow-haired school bully Lin Fan Haotian, who always bullies him on campus. Haotian doesn't dare to disobey him, but walks very slowly. "Haotian, can you hurry up? Are you his mother snail? Come here quickly. It gives you too much face, doesn't it?" Haotian had to walk up to the school bully Lin Fan and ask, "What? What's wrong, brother Fan? What's going on? Today, brother is in a good mood. He has awakened his earth-type ability or just wanted to hit you at 6. What's going on? I'm not satisfied, right?" As he spoke, he patted Haotian's head with his hand. Haotian took 2 steps back and said slightly, "Lin Fan, can you please don't come to me again in the future? I don't even have any superpowers and can't pose a threat to you anymore. Why are you still bothering me?" In school, Haotian is one of the top academic achievers and also very handsome. He is not just an ordinary handsome person, but a well-known handsome one. In Lingqing, he is one of the top. Although unpopular, there are still many teachers who believe that Haotian will awaken strong abilities, but the reality is not satisfactory. "Yeah, you don't have any abilities, so it would be even better if I hit you. Ha ha ha." School bully Lin Fan said with a smile. Excited and then roared loudly, just in time to awaken the ability to test your hand. "Shout loudly, brothers, give me a fight. Today, I'm happy and just finished beating him up. I'll take you to eat skewers tonight." Speaking, a group of little brothers also moved forward. Suddenly, a few younger brothers said, "All right, big brother, I'm already starting to get excited." Speaking, Lin Fan took a step forward and used the unique skill inherent in the Earth-type ability, Earth Fist. Subsequently, Lin Fan's hands formed many clumps of soil that gathered on his hands. Suddenly, a fist as big as a sandbag rushed towards Haotian, even making a sound of breaking through the air. Haotian quickly ran under a table, and suddenly the table was smashed into parts by Lin Fan's fist. "All right, Haotian, you dare to dodge my fist. If I don't teach you a lesson in a few days, you'll be so arrogant." Then he swung another punch and charged towards Haotian. This time the punch is stronger than the last time. Suddenly, Haotian's blind eyes changed from blue to red. Chapter 2. Humiliation under the Crotch, Encountering Song Xiaoting. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Haotian's blind blue eyes suddenly turned red. Haotian was surprised to find that Lin Fan's earth fist rushing towards him had slowed down in speed. Moreover, Haotian's blind eye could see his ears and even hear his voice. Haotian didn't have time to be happy, quickly dodge. Subsequently, Haotian quickly ran to the cabinet where the sanitary ware was placed and took out a broom, which he aimed at Lin Fan's head. The iron broom was bent directly. I've given you too much face. How dare you even hit me? The younger brothers also rushed up and said, I gave you face, didn't I dare to hit our boss? Okay. Haotian, if you dare to harm me today, I dare not let you go to school tomorrow. Haotian looked at the broom in his hand and pondered for a long time. When he came out of the orphanage, Haotian lived alone in Lingcheng, going to school during the day and delivering packages at night. Haonai really enjoys learning, even if he doesn't have any abilities, he wants to make a name for himself through learning. At first, he really hoped to get the amazing ability, but after testing, he gave up this idea and became even more convinced of the idea of studying hard. So he can't skip school. Haotian, give you face. I've always let a few brothers hit you before. My Lin family holds a 50% stake in the school, and you can be expelled from the school at any time. However, if you pass through my crotch, I can still consider sending you to school. Haha, how are you doing? Lin Fan said with a wicked smile on his face. Haotian looked at the broom in his hand and couldn't help but squat forward and sit down. Today, I have suffered such great humiliation. I will definitely repay it twice the next day. Subsequently, Haotian crawled towards Lin Fan's crotch and said, ha ha ha. This coward is really useless. The little brothers laughed and couldn't close their mouths. In a few seconds Haotian crawled out from under Lin Fan's crotch and said, Lin Fan. You wait. Lin Fan laughed heartily, you don't even have superpowers. Do you still want to kill me? Ha ha ha. I'm laughing to death. I'm really going to laugh to death. Brothers, hit him for me. Later, the younger brothers rushed up and said, ha ha ha, I haven't used my newly awakened water system ability yet, so I happen to use you to practice my skills. One by one, he charged towards Haotian with different skills, but Haotian did not dodge. He allowed various skills to hit him, and Haotian gritted his teeth fiercely. In a few minutes, let's go. Brothers. Let's go. Please have some grilled skewers. Ha ha ha. It's really nice today. Haotian walked to the medical room, treated the wound briefly, peeled off his clothes, and found various purple, blue, and red scars all over his body. Then I returned to the classroom and had normal classes in the afternoon. Today is Friday. After finishing class, school ended in the afternoon. Haotian returned home and opened the door with a key, then ran straight to the restroom and looked into his own eyes. Oh, what? What is the situation with my eyes? Why did it happen at that time? Suddenly, both ears can hear it. Are you not blind anymore? Suddenly, the phone rang and Haotian answered, hello. I'm Aunt Zhang, Haotian. Your rent for this month is almost 1,500. Okay, Aunt Zhang, I got it. Then he hung up the phone and opened a browser to search for AI intelligent search. Does everyone possess abilities? The AI replied, yes, everyone has their own abilities. Since the revival of spiritual energy, no one has been without abilities. Haotian was shocked. For some reason, he didn't have any abilities. Sigh. Why didn't I? Forget it, forget about these things for now. Subsequently, Haotian went to Matewan's place and received his work clothes. Sigh. Go and run a few orders. The rent is about to be paid. Subsequently, Haotian began his food delivery journey, and everything went smoothly at the beginning. He delivered 8 orders and received positive reviews. Haotian looked at his phone and said, oh my, I'll send a few more orders after 7 o'clock and then go back. As he spoke, Haotian opened the last customer whose name was hidden. Help me bring more straws, delivery guy. Haotian looked bewildered and said, no. I'm almost at your doorstep. You want me to go back and get the straw? But Haotian didn't say it, he just thought to himself. Haotian had to go back to retrieve the straw and then went back to a place called Longting Community. I heard that this is a residential area where wealthy people live, and Haotian didn't care too much. So he went upstairs and looked at the time. I have 30 seconds left before it ends. So Haotian didn't take the elevator. As he spoke, Haotian exerted his strength in the wilderness and strode the stairs, just as he was about to reach the person's door. Done. Haotian shouted loudly. Running too fast, he accidentally didn't step up and half fell to the ground, kneeling down directly. Haotian looked at milk tea. It's okay. It's okay. Fortunately, I wasn't late. She knocked on the reddish-brown door and said, "Madam. Your package has arrived." Then the reddish-brown door was opened. Opening the door was a girl with a particularly delicate appearance, pink hair, and a bathrobe, who looked only 16 or 17 years old. Haotian handed him the milk tea, and the pink girl looked at it and said with a disdainful expression, "Are you disgusting? There's dirt on it. What else am I drinking? Are you sick?" Then he took a few steps back and said, "Oh, why are you so dirty? You're so disgusting, nauseous." Haotian saw his face full of unwillingness and wanted to explain to him. Bang! The door was slammed hard against the wall. The wall also shook a few times. Haotian looked at the milk tea in his hand, feeling lost. He looked at the reddish-brown door, didn't knock, and left. Haotian sighed all over his face, knowing what it meant. Today's order was given away for nothing again. Haotian walked to the entrance of Xiaoting community with his head down and sat on the steps. It's raining outside, very little, but it's all sad. Haotian's mood also became even lower. Sitting on the ground, I opened the bottle of milk tea, inserted a straw, and started drinking. Suddenly, his phone shook and Haotian's face was filled with joy. He thought the girl was going back to give him milk tea on her own. But he opened his eyes wide and sighed. That's right, it's a negative review. Haotian could only suck on the milk tea. Suddenly, a girl wearing a white sweater appeared in front of Haotian. She looked particularly beautiful at around 17 or 18 years old, with big eyes that were even more beautiful than all the women he had ever seen in his life. It can only be said that the beautiful girl handed the pink umbrella in her hand to Haotian and said, "Why are you here alone? What happened?" Haotian looked at him in a daze, unsure of the situation, and then pointed to his ear and shook his hand. The girl seemed to understand Haotian's meaning, so she took out a pen and a notebook from her pocket. I wrote 7 big characters. Chapter 3. Volunteer Form, Bug Express. You are listening at novelfull.audio. National Energy University, Song Xiaoting. After finishing writing, Song Xiaoting took the book back and left directly. Haotian watched as the figure seemed to warm up in his heart. After drinking milk tea, Haotian left Xiaoting community. Returning home Monday morning, Haotian sat in the class, with a volunteer on the table. He looked at the volunteer form. Suddenly, the homeroom teacher Jiang Qing walked in from outside and said to everyone, "Okay. We will have a special ability test in 2 months, which means the so-called college entrance examination is different from previous year's written exams, but a battle. After that, you will enter various universities to study special abilities. In the past 2 months, we will teach you how to cultivate, what is the realm of cultivation, and so on. Also, be careful when filling out your volunteer forms and don't blindly fill them out. Blindly filling in this will affect your future classmates' ability to fill in better universities. For those with poor qualifications, try to fill in worse ones. By the way, for particularly talented students, you can choose not to fill in the form. When we go to the city for the ability exam, various universities may choose you to enter their schools based on your qualifications. In a few minutes, class monitor. Collect the volunteer form." Yi Qing immediately replied, "Okay, teacher." He began to collect the application form and presented it to Jiangqing, who flipped through the pages one by one. Afraid of any errors, I flipped through the wish list and went to their class. Yesterday, I awakened the person with the best abilities, left spirit. Suo Ling, you are quite confident. You don't fill in anything. Confidence is good, after all, your water type ability qualification is 7, which is also considered a genius. So the teacher agreed with you and nodded at Xiaoting. Continuing to flip through, he suddenly opened his eyes wide and said, "Aren't you? Haotian, are you crazy? Why don't you fill in anything?" As soon as he finished speaking, the students under the desk suddenly started to argue, but they all laughed and said, "Haotian, you weren't scared out of your wits yesterday, were you? Discovering that you don't have any superpowers and still pretending. Are you mentally ill? Ha ha ha." In fact, Haotian doesn't think he doesn't have any superpowers, but he thinks that I is his own superpower. Suddenly, the teacher knocked on the table and said, "All right, stop talking. This is a serious problem, you can't even laugh. This is a serious problem." Suddenly, the voices below suddenly stopped, and no one was speaking, but their faces turned red one by one. "Haotian, have you really thought it through? This is a very important matter that you must choose carefully." "Teacher, I have come up with a plan. I just don't fill it in. Okay, let's start the class now." Speaking, the homeroom teacher wrote 14 big characters on the blackboard, dividing the realm into different individuals, different scholars, different teachers, different sects, different saints, different emperors, and different gods. But now, only China, the United States, and Russia each have a different emperor, and no one has yet reached the realm of a different god. And each realm is divided into 10 stars. Each person's superpower is born with a unique skill, and every 5 stars they ascend can absorb a core star that is beyond their own, which is what exists in the body of the superpower beast. Abilities are divided into gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. Qualifications are further divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. But there are also some rare abilities. And the core in the body of the power beast can also help you cultivate, so the core is very important. The school distributes 10 to a person every month. Let's try to compete with other schools as much as possible. Haotian, your core school has decided not to give it to you. They wrote a piece of paper and handed it to Haotian. Why? Haotian stood up and loudly said, "Why? I don't have a core. How can I practice?" The homeroom teacher looked at him for a moment and didn't hesitate, but said, "Okay, I'll try my best to fight for you." For Haotian, in ordinary language, he only needs to look at the accent of his homeroom teacher to know what he is saying, but it must be less than theirs. Haotian is not stubborn either, and the teacher knows that Haotian's personality is stubborn, so he is not forced. The next day passed, and Haotian returned home, recalling the confrontation with Lin Fan that day. Thinking about it, suddenly a thought burst out in my mind, whether it was only opened when my life was in danger. As he spoke, Haotian picked up the fruit knife from the table and poked his blind eye. As he was about to poke that eye, it instantly turned blood red. As expected by Haotian, it was indeed like this, and Haotian smiled knowingly. After an hour, Haotian roughly understood the usage of this ability. When subjected to a fatal attack, the ability's speed will increase to twice, while the enemy's attack speed will slow down to 0.5 times and have a cooldown of 20 minutes for a duration of 20 minutes. This is the innate talent of his ability. Speaking, Haotian burst out laughing and said, "Sure enough, heaven hasn't killed me. Ha ha ha. Sure enough, ah." Then, an idea burst out of Haotian's mind. If the speed doubles, then can the speed be doubled for anything? Haotian wanted to be crooked, but suddenly became irregular. So if I double the delivery speed, wouldn't it be like doubling the funds? Haha, there won't be a situation where the delivery time hasn't arrived yet. With that, Haotian ran happily to deliver the package, bouncing around happily. Perhaps Haotian has never been so happy before. Haotian has been repeatedly using his abilities since 5 o'clock, and he even gave them a domineering name. Xiaoting. Haotian kept getting stuck with bugs until 11 o'clock. Haotian returned home with a tired face, opened the door, but looked at the 4,000 yuan in his phone balance. With a relieved smile, ha ha ha. I've never had so much money in my life. Ha ha ha. Speaking, he took out 1,500 and turned it over to Aunt Zhang. Auntie Zhang, I have given you the rent, he said confidently. Okay, Haotian has received it. Haotian left 500 yuan, and the remaining 2,000 yuan. Haotian opened the Poverty Alleviation Fund and donated 2,000 yuan, smiling with satisfaction. Haotian has a very kind heart, and he also knows how difficult it is to suffer from childhood to adulthood, so he doesn't want others to suffer the same kind of pain as him. Subsequently, Haotian went to bed. This night was the happiest one Haotian had ever slept, and he slept soundly, especially fragrant. The moonlight is also beautiful, and the sky is full of stars. The next morning, Haotian arrived at the class. Haotian, the school has announced the outcome and has decided. Chapter 4. Spatiotemporal cracks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The result has come, Haotian. The school has decided to give you 5 cores of 1 star for the same and different individuals. For the others, it will still be the 10 cores of 1 star for the different individuals that I mentioned earlier. By the way, let me tell you a good thing. 2 days later, the school has decided to go to the small time and space crack in Lingqing to experience. The school has arranged a bus for us, and on that day we will take the bus. Haotian heard the teacher's words with his divine pupils and didn't say anything. After all, in a situation where he didn't have any abilities yet, giving to the core was already considered good, so it wasn't too far-fetched. By the way, the school has also decided to have everyone practice in groups of 4. The approximate combination of abilities is fire-based ability to deal damage, wood-based ability to control, soil-based ability to defend, and water-based ability to combine with harvesting. The school has decided to hand over a core to you on the basis of your acquisition, and the school will refund you twice as much as the experience reward. There are many temporal and spatial cracks on Earth, but those small cracks are not enough to threaten human life. Therefore, in high school, schools will conduct crack training to ensure that they are prepared to truly hunt large supernatural beasts in the future. Also, that Haotian, don't go there. If you don't have any abilities, you'll end up dead there. No one can help you, and probably no one will team up with you. No. I have to go. Haotian shouted at the homeroom teacher with a fierce expression on his face. The homeroom teacher shouted loudly, "This time it's not possible. This time it could threaten your life. You can't go. Even if I die. What can I do? I have to go too." The homeroom teacher looked at Haotian's stubbornness and could only wave his hand. Okay, you go. I will try my best to observe you when you encounter danger, and I will go and help you. Haotian's eyes were once more stubborn than the teacher's, and he felt an indescribable joy in his heart. I didn't say anything more, I just sat in my seat. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye, and Haotian successfully rose to the level of the 3 stars of the other with those 5 cores. And Haotian was surprised to find that his extraordinary skill had increased from twice the acceleration to 2.2 times, and it was more than twice the acceleration, increasing by 0.2 times. Haotian was very happy and said, "Ha ha ha. Sure enough. Sure enough." Haotian also recognized that he had a superpower, and as for why the superpower test could not detect his ability, it may be because only Haotian on Earth has awakened this kind of ability. Haotian was very happy, which was equivalent to giving him hope on the day of the time and space crack. Jiangqing counted the number of people on the playground. 1, 2, 3. 39, and 1 more. Why is there a shortage of someone? Teacher, there's also Haotian who hasn't come, Yi Qin answered first. Oh my. Haotian, why hasn't this kid come yet? Why did he go? The students also began to discuss and say, it's needless to say, I'm probably afraid of death. Ha ha ha. What can I pretend without any abilities? A yellow bus is driving inside the school gate. Oh my. When will Haotian come? Where have others gone? Suddenly, a backpack flew over. It hit Jiang Cheng's face and said, "Oh my, I'm going." What's going on? Who is going on? Are you trying to murder me? I am my teacher, Haotian said as he ran. Haotian looked shocked and said, I'm sorry, teacher. I made a mistake. The teacher was directly hit by Haotian's backpack and fell to the ground. I woke up and found a pig man imprint on my face. Suddenly, the classmates burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, teacher, look at your face. Look at your face. Ah ha ha ha. Pig man. The homeroom teacher took a mirror and looked at her face. Haotian. You kid, come over here quickly. It's time to go. As he spoke, Haotian flew into the bus as if flying. On the road to the cracks of time and space, Haotian in the car was very pleased that he had never left the school within a 20-kilometer radius. Seeing something novel naturally brings joy. But the homeroom teacher in the car looked coldly at the piggy man on his face, not knowing what to say. As for the other classmates, their faces turned red like monkey butts, looking at the homeroom teacher. After an hour, all right, everyone get off the car. Classmates get off in an orderly manner. After getting off the car, Haotian didn't know what he saw and opened his mouth wide. I'll go. Fortress. A steel fortress stands in the forest, with many soldiers holding guns standing in front of it, and a few psychics guarding the fortress. One of the officers stepped forward and held Jiang Cheng's hand. Hello, this is the 1st Regiment of the Mighty Legion. We are stationed here in the temporal and spatial cracks of Lingqing. Did you come from a high school in Lingqing to practice? Yes. The homeroom teacher gave a standard military salute. Okay, come with me. The officer then walked towards the castle. In the castle, Haotian followed closely behind and was shocked by a crack in front of him. There were constantly supernatural beasts appearing in the crack, and the army stationed here was engaged in chariot warfare, guarding the space-time crack. Prevent psychic beasts from coming out and hurting people. By the way, you come here to experience. I have something to say in advance. Firstly, there is no oxygen in this time and space crack, so if you want to enter, you must bring an oxygen cylinder and it can only be supplied for about 3 hours. Within 3 hours, be sure to come out and say, do you hear me? There is no army inside, you cannot kill each other or seize the core. If you have anything, hurry out of the cracks in time and space and report to our people. We will send troops to rescue, do you know? Alright, you guys go over there now to collect the equipment. There are some weapons such as daggers, bows, and spears there. Since the revival of spiritual energy, some people have thought of using ancient weapons such as bows, arrows, guns, and swords because hot weapons have no effect on those supernatural beasts. Using the core of those supernatural beasts to create weapons can actually damage those supernatural beasts. Therefore, we refer to these things as supernatural weapons. Haotian received a dagger there and walked away. As soon as Haotian left, a soldier immediately said, "Little brother, won't you take some other things?" No need. Because Haotian was afraid of trouble, he has been keeping his pupils open ever since. So naturally, one can also hear the officer's words and wave towards the temporal and spatial rift. As soon as he entered the crack of time and space, Haotian felt suffocated for some reason. He quickly took out an oxygen cylinder and put it on. The environment here is very familiar, just like the ancient forests where humans lived before. Haotian slowly walked and observed the terrain, which seemed to be a tropical rainforest. Suddenly, he noticed a footprint. Haotian looked at it and roughly knew that it was the footprint of a psychic monkey walking. He slowly followed behind like a trailing uncle. Unexpectedly, the monkey climbed onto the tree at some point, while Haotian kept following. Haotian walked to a flat place. Why did the footprints suddenly disappear? Haotian's face was full of doubt, and he looked around, suddenly. Chapter 5. Killing monkeys. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. A large stone rushed towards Haotian. Haotian quickly dodged and said, "Has this monkey activated his spiritual intelligence? Why is he so smart? It's unreasonable. It's just a different star that actually led me to this flat place." The monkey on the tree looked at Haotian with a smile on his face. Haotian became more and more angry as he looked. "God's pupils. Open them." As he spoke, he ran towards the big tree. The monkey looked puzzled and didn't know what the human wanted to do. Standing on top, pointing at Haotian and laughing wildly, he even gestured to him with his middle finger. "Are you a monkey or a human? You can even compare your middle finger." Haotian became more and more angry as he looked at the thick wood on his arm, crazily chopping it. 4 seconds later, the wood had been cut off and the tree was slowly falling down, with the monkey also falling down, a face full of surprise, unable to play. "I can't afford to play." "You just can't afford it. Don't play if you can't afford it." Haotian placed the knife above his head, and the monkey's face was filled with fear and chatter, not knowing what bird language to say. The monkey stood straight in front of the dagger. Suddenly, he died and blood flowed into Haotian's arm. "Ha ha, why didn't you pretend to attack me? You dare to compare your middle finger to me, it's really giving you too much face. Grandma, even if someone treats me more than their middle finger, how dare you monkey tease me even more than your middle finger?" As he spoke, he took out the core and kicked the psychic monkey aside. Subsequently, Haotian continued to work hard, following monkeys one by one like a real-life version of a trailing man. Those monkeys are obviously also very intelligent, even though they only have 1 star of strength. But it's also quite clever. Haotian looked at the 10 cores he only collected in an hour. Directly confused, how could this be so? But in fact, he has the most here, and the others only have 5 in their hands. No, I need to find some way. As he spoke, Haotian began the dog digging mode. I started digging towards a flat piece of land. 10 minutes later, a large pit appeared on the ground. Haotian pointed the branches of the tree and inserted them into the pit, then spread some weeds on top and cut some unknown fruits. Although Haotian didn't know what these fruits were and whether those monkeys would eat them or not, he still picked a lot based on intuition. Put it on top. Haotian quietly waits for the monkeys to take the bait. Suddenly, a group of monkeys flew in groups from the other side, hanging golden hooks upside down from the tree. Monkeys looked at the traps one by one, and Haotian quickly climbed down without looking because he was afraid of scaring away the psychic monkeys. "Ahaha. I've made a lot of money this time," said Haotian with a smile on his face. "More than 20 monkeys in 2 minutes, isn't that invincible?" After speaking for a while, Haotian lifted his head. Discovering that the monkeys were nowhere to be found, he crossed his waist and walked towards the pit. Looking down, there was no fart. Haotian's face was full of confusion, so he looked back and a group of monkeys looked at Haotian from the tree, laughing happily. "Oh my, this human is really stupid. Do we really consider ourselves fools? Fruits can appear in flat places, it's not like we're monkeys. And those fruits are all poisonous, really treat us fools, oh my." A row of monkeys raised their middle fingers together, facing towards Haotian. Haotian was also extremely angry and said, "Damn it. I didn't get hit. Isn't it, okay?" As he spoke, he turned into a scion and rushed towards the monkeys one after another like a madman. The monkey fell to the ground, and 5 minutes later, 20 monkeys lay peacefully in the pit. Haotian looked at the 20 cores in his hand. Looking up to the sky, he smiled and said, "Ha ha ha. You monkeys are so foolish, have you fallen into my trap? Ha ha ha." As he spoke, Haotian leaned his hands against the back of his head and walked away with steps that he didn't recognize. The monkeys in the pit, each with tears on their faces, are clearly unable to play. What Haotian didn't know was that after he left, a strong gorilla walked out of the forest. This gorilla is already a sure star, surpassing the Haotian 8 stars. Haotian couldn't even notice that he was still walking leisurely, humming a tune. Suddenly, the gorilla rushed out from the side, and Haotian was using his supernatural powers, but it was obvious that he did not quickly resist the gorilla's attack and was in a relaxed state. The gorilla punched behind Haotian, with only 30% of its strength. But it caused Hao Qingtian to vomit blood and fly wildly. He passed directly through the first tree, through the second tree, until the third tree stopped and was imprinted on it. Inertia led him to lie down on the ground, and then Haotian knelt on the ground with one hand and one leg, his face full of fear. It's not his mother. You're such a clever beast, you have such intelligence. You've been observing me from the beginning, haven't you? And obviously, the gorilla couldn't understand his language, so it punched and charged towards Haotian. Haotian just stood still, waiting for death to come. Suddenly, a figure rushed out of the forest. You bastard, dare to kill my student. Do you want to die? That's right, it's Jiangqing bound. The vines around immediately gathered together, controlling the gorilla. And the gorilla, just not moving, was clearly waiting for the homeroom teacher's close attack. Obviously, Jiangqing did not take the bait and retreated to the side of Haotian. Helping Haotian up, are you okay, Haotian? Can you still leave? Haotian covered his chest and spat out blood as he said, class teacher, you only have the strength of the 8 stars of the alien. Saving me now is equivalent to dying one person, you will become 2 dead people. Ha ha ha, silly child, how could I leave you? With that, Jiangqing rushed up quickly. And he shouted loudly, Haotian, go out and find that officer to support you. Go. Haotian knew he would stay here, so he waited until he died and ran quickly towards the entrance, spitting blood as he ran. Class teacher, you must hold on. You must hold on. At this time, the homeroom teacher, Yi Jian. As she spoke, layers of green leaves appeared on the shoulders of the homeroom teacher, transforming into swords and charging towards the gorilla. That gorilla broke free from the constraints and punched those Yi swords. Sure enough, the homeroom teacher was also defeated by the gorilla and was kicked back more than 20 meters. No way. I have to procrastinate now. Haotian hasn't run out yet. This gorilla is too intelligent to belong to this temporal and spatial rift. What happened? What exactly happened here? At this time, Haotian was also approaching the crack of the space-time rift. The homeroom teacher is still striving to control while retreating, clearly crossing a great realm. The homeroom teacher is ultimately invincible and can only retreat while fighting. And Haotian saw that the mouth of the time and space crack was almost there, but he found that the oxygen cylinder had run out of oxygen. Damn it! Why? Why? Haotian complained about himself. But still running rapidly towards the cracks in time and space. And in this castle, a crack in time and space appeared. Chapter 6. The homeroom teacher is rescued and assigned the core. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A blood-red hand protruded from the crack in the space. Haotian struggled to climb out of the cracks in time and space, with a frightened expression on his face, and said to the officer in front of him, quick. Fast. Save. Save the squad. Director. Little brother. Little brother. Are you okay? After Haotian finished speaking, his eyes turned black. Quickly gather the army and enter the time and space rift to rescue. A few people will take this little brother to the hospital. He is seriously injured. Hurry up. He may be dying soon, hurry up. Hurry up and get treatment at the hospital. After speaking, the officers gathered their troops and entered the cracks of time and space, following the traces of Haotian vomiting blood. At this time, the homeroom teacher was defeated by the gorilla, and her clothes on her back were obviously like beggars, being beaten by the gorilla and damaged everywhere. I don't know if Haotian ran out or not. Ha ha ha. My life as a person in my 40s is worth it even if it were for Haotian's life, ha ha ha. Xiaoting, for some unknown reason, even though he was on the brink of death, he still faced it with a smile. In fact, the best teacher for Haotian in school is his homeroom teacher. Although he is very strict and always talks about Haotian, due to his special nature, the homeroom teacher always cares more about him. The homeroom teacher has been observing from the beginning until now. He has been following Haotian, afraid that he might make any mistakes. Perhaps when he attacked the gorilla, he had already made a life or death decision and planned his own destiny. At this moment, the gorilla behind them, being controlled for a while and attacked by Yi Jian for a while, couldn't keep up with the speed of the class teacher. But it is obvious that the oxygen cylinder of the homeroom teacher is running low, and the physical strength is also starting to be insufficient. Just as the homeroom teacher was leaving to his heart's content, with a hollow sound, the homeroom teacher unexpectedly stepped on it. Damn it, who dug this trap? I'm also convinced, who is this? Is it ultimately fate that will kill me? Who dug this trap? Xiaoting looked at the sky and said, "It's so beautiful, ha ha ha." The homeroom teacher smiled and looked at the sky. "It's been a long time since I've seen the sky. It's really vast." At this time, the officers also rushed to the scene, but they did not see the class teacher. "I only saw a gorilla searching around for something." "Oh, didn't you say you wanted to save someone? Where are the people? Where have they gone? Damn it. Has this beast already killed him? You damn beast. I need you to pay for your life today." After speaking, the officer drew a long spear from his back and charged towards the gorilla. At this moment, the gorilla was also bewildered. Isn't it human? Where did that person go just now? What's the situation? Are humans so amazing now? They come with invisibility. Not long after, the gorilla collapsed weakly. As for how he died, it was obvious that he died tragically and was whipped to death. The officer with the 8 stars of the Ishur advanced 3 levels of the gorilla realm, and with one shot, he stabbed the lightly injured gorilla directly into a serious injury. 2 shots were already stabbed to death. Subsequently, the officer knelt on the ground, "Sorry. Sorry." A group of soldiers also gathered up and said, "Captain, don't do this. The person who passed away probably doesn't want to see you like this either." At this moment, a soldier was trying to find a place to sprinkle something when he suddenly discovered a pit and found a good place. As he unbuttoned his pants, just as he was about to shine, a voice could be heard inside. "Stop, stop, stop." The sound scared the soldier half to death. "I almost scared him so much that he won't be able to spill it again in the future." Then the soldier shouted loudly, "Captain, the captain is here, the person is here." I saw the homeroom teacher in the pit holding on to both sides of the pit with both hands and feet, supporting his entire body from falling off. Because there were all wooden spikes below, and at this moment, the officer heard the sound and immediately came over. The sadness on his face immediately disappeared and he became happy. One day later, Haotian covered his head and slowly opened his eyes to look at the officer. He was about to grab a fruit knife with both hands, and he was about to scare himself in the eyes, and his pupils automatically opened. The officer also looked bewildered. At first, he thought he was going to commit suicide, but when he saw him put it down, he didn't say anything. Suddenly, a middle-aged man with bandages wrapped around his hands and feet rushed towards him. "Haotian, are you okay? Are you okay?" "That's right, that person is the homeroom teacher." "Teacher, I'm fine. Are you okay?" It's okay, the teacher is okay," and as he spoke, he hugged Haotian. And at this moment, the officer smiled silently, leaving the room at some point with a smile on his face. I wonder if this child will still be so happy in the future. "Haotian, this time I counted the number of cores and found that you have the most cores. Does the school still want to reward you? You take care of yourself here first, and I will come to pick you up in a few days. I will go and ask for 2 days off for you, and then we will discuss the details." Okay. Then 4 days passed, but in fact, there were no 4 days at all. Haotian recovered within 3 days using the core, and the 30 cores in his hand have also been reduced to 25, and his realm has been elevated by 1 star on the morning of the 3rd day. Haotian was discharged and went directly to the school. As soon as he entered the class, the voices of verbal abuse reached Haotian's ears. You useless person almost caused our teacher's death. You are a disaster star, you are the serious star in the sky, the violet star. At this time, Haotian opened his pupils when he entered the school. He heard all of this clearly, and his classmates also knew he couldn't hear. He would curse at him casually when he had nothing to do, but although Haotian couldn't hear him, he could still see them. How could he not know these people? But this time he finally recognized their true faces. Subsequently, the homeroom teacher walked in from behind Haotian. Haotian was the one I wanted to save myself, it's not his fault. Why are you saying that here? Stepping onto the podium, there was a thud on the table, causing it to vibrate. Alright, stop talking and start counting the core results of this experience. The left spirit team has 10 cores. The Yi Qing team has 8 cores. Haotian has 25 cores per person. Yi Qing drifted towards Haotian and pointed at him, his face full of unwillingness. Why is he? Why does he have more than me? Although he is only one person, did the school intentionally shield him? At this moment, Lin Fan also looked at Haotian, not angry, but laughing wildly. Because he feels that Haotian's core is his own core. Looking at Haotian with a wicked smile, Haotian ignored him. Why do you say that Haotian is 3 levels higher than all of you? Why do you say that? Admitting that others are stronger than you is not difficult. Yi Qing, from now on, you are no longer the class leader, and now the class leader is Xiaoting. Alright, come up and take the core. Haotian quickly walked up, his face filled with relief. That. Haotian, these are your 50 cores. Thank you, teacher. Haotian bowed and walked towards his seat. Suddenly, Lin Fan blocked Haotian's way. Chapter 7. Beating Lin Fan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Haotian hasn't seen you for a few days. Are you so awesome? We are good brothers, shouldn't we share some with each other? Why should I share it with you? You don't seem to have much to do with me, do you? What's going on, Haotian? It's been a few days since we last saw each other. Your kid is pushing us crazy again, isn't it? Didn't I hit you again? You put it on again, what's wrong? You want to be expelled from school, right? Haotian suddenly burst out laughing, ha ha ha. Just rely on you. Haotian agreed to Lin Fan's condition at that time because he didn't know he had superpowers, but now that he knows his superpowers are so powerful, how could he be afraid of Lin Fan? Waste. What's the point? With your golden hair. Haonai has given you too much face. Ha ha ha. As he spoke, Haotian turned his head and shouted at the homeroom teacher, Teacher, we need to have a fair showdown. Lin Fan also smiled and became a little interested. Lin Fan, let's have a fair showdown. I lost, all of this is for you. If I win, you let me handle it. Lin Fan's body was taken aback. Haotian used to be the person he stepped on and crawled through his crotch. How could he have the courage to say such things today? The homeroom teacher was very confident in Haotian, so she nodded and agreed now, on the school playground. As he spoke, Haotian dragged Lin Fan to the school playground and said, Do you remember what I said that day? Today, I'll give it back 100 times. The homeroom teacher also followed closely behind, Do not harm people's lives, this is the rule, anything else is arbitrary. Speaking, Haotian picked up the dagger from his waist and plunged it into his own eyes. Divine pupils. Go. Lin Fan quickly retreated. Earth fist. As he spoke, he rushed towards Haotian, but Haotian and Lin Fan were 2 stars apart. Lin Fan dared to take on the battle because he thought the Lin family could protect him. Even if he lost, it could still prevent Haotian from learning. But she was wrong. Haotian happened to be stuck at this time. Lin Fan's whole family went to other cities. It will take at least 2 months to come back, but Haotian is unaware of this. As he spoke, he ran up and threw the dagger directly. Lin Fan didn't even react, but he also used his earth fist to resist. The earth fist was suddenly scattered by the dagger. The ground was covered in dirt, and the dagger fell to the ground. At this moment, all the teachers and students in the school disregarded class, and even those squatting in the toilet bent over to watch at the entrance after class. "Mic, Haotian so awesome." The whole school was wide-eyed, and Haotian quickly arrived next to Lin Fan, kicked sideways and directly hit Lin Fan's stomach. Lin Fan seemed to be bombarded by cannons and was directly hit on the campus gate. With a bang. The iron gate trembles. Lin Fan knelt down on the ground and vomited blood crazily, while Haotian followed and kicked Lin Fan's head again. Click. Lin Fan's jawbone was unexpectedly broken by Haotian's kick. Lin Fan was kicked directly onto the wall on the first floor of the teaching building and printed directly on it. "Haotian, are you crazy?" He spat out blood in his mouth. "How dare you hurt me? You also deserve it." At this moment, people on the playground also gathered. But due to the class teacher's explanation, there was not much to say. "I didn't tell the principal about this or that either." At this moment, the principal was drinking tea and feeling the mellow aroma of the tea. Suddenly, the wall began to move, and the principal shouted, "Not good. Not good. Earthquake. It's an earthquake." Just about to rush out of the teaching building, halfway through, he suddenly realized that he didn't have a wig on. I ran back to look for a wig again. At this moment, Lin Fan outside the building was still shouting with a loud expression on his face, "Do you dare to kill me? If you have the ability, you can kill me. Ha ha ha." Haotian went up and punched Lin Fan wildly, hitting him like a shooting star. The sound of clicking was deafening. Listening makes people feel pain in their hearts. Haotian was playing to his heart's content when suddenly a group of people rushed out and said, "Haotian gave you too much face, didn't he? You dare to hit our boss, hit him for me." As they spoke, the group of young brothers one by one displayed their extraordinary skills, using wooden pillars, fiery stars, water wave slashes, and earth hammers to greet Haotian one by one. Haotian gave a cold smile, like a killing god. Picking up the dagger on the ground, he smiled at the few people. In an instant, Haotian rushed out and stabbed them. In the air, the young brothers who were about to release their special skills were stabbed and fell to the ground one by one. One by one, they shouted loudly, "My ankle muscles. Haotian. You damn it. You damn it. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Damn me. When did you say such things when you bullied me? When did you say such a thing when you once beat me half to death? Today you guys, I won't kill you, but don't think of a hospital for your whole life." As he spoke, Haotian picked up a dagger and pointed it at the tendons of the few people, lifting his foot muscles as if dealing with animal carcasses in a simple manner. One by one, roaring and shouting loudly. At this moment, everyone looking at Haotian was filled with fear on their faces, their pupils dilated, and they couldn't help but take a few steps back. They are feeling guilty. Because they had also spoken ill of Haotian before, and Haotian only glared at those who retreated. "I scared them so much that they squatted on the ground and their pants were wet." Haotian ignored them and silently walked towards Lin Fan, grabbing his neck with his hands. "Roar at him and curse, why don't you curse anymore? Hit me, why don't you hit me? Ha ha ha." Dragging Lin Fan's neck with his hands, he frantically pressed him against the wall, then removed him, and pressed him against the wall again. Being tortured makes life worse than death. Haotian's technique can indeed cause Lin Fan to suffer particularly serious injuries every time, but it does not allow him to harm Lin Fan's important parts. Later, with a disdainful smile, Haotian let go of Lin Fan and lay down directly on the ground. Subsequently, the principal ran out of the building in panic. Classmates! Classmates! Hurry up, there's an earthquake! There's an earthquake! But he was stunned by the scene in front of him. There are students lying on the ground, shouting loudly. Needless to say, all the students have already gathered on the playground, and the principal is surrounded by a tight wall. Just shouted out of the crowd to make way for me, and then rushed in. Just wanted to grab Haotian's collar, ask him what he wants. Subsequently, Jiang Qing stood in front of the principal and showed him everything he had recorded on his phone. The principal watched as they gritted their teeth and said, "They said a normal duel, what are you people involved in? Is it okay this time? I'll never get out of the hospital again in my lifetime." There's nothing wrong with that statement. These people should be like this, but Haotian didn't put too much pressure on them. Just severely injured them and picked out a loyal subordinate of Lin Fan, giving them a warning. As for what Haotian chopped, it wasn't their tendons and tendons, it was just ordinary meat. They lived a life of fear for a lifetime, and then Haotian looked at the principal. He walked over and talked to the principal about the situation. The principal's face darkened and he didn't know what to do, because the Lin family owned 50% of the school's shares. Subsequently, he called the Lin family's headquarters, and their headquarters took the call. "Hey, you know the principal, what's wrong? Did your youngest son do something bad in your school? I'm really sorry, we're not in lynching right now. It's probably 2 months before we can go back. I'm sorry for any inconvenience caused." The principal's eyes lit up and he replied, "It's okay. Your son is doing well at school." He hung up the phone and called Haotian over, saying. Chapter 8. Grand Exhibition of Sports Games. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Haotian, the principal is deeply sorry that your experience did not allow you to receive attention in this school. So the school has decided to compensate you with 50 cores. Thank you, principal. After speaking, Haotian bowed and returned to the classroom. At this moment, Yi Qing's face turned green with fear. It's over, it's over. I shouldn't be like Lin Fan, right? I just scolded him. Take these people away, take them to the hospital, and call their parents to tell them what their children have done at school. After speaking, the principal also returned to the principal's office on the first floor and continued to drink tea. Suddenly, he realized that his wig was gone, so he ran back and found it in the crowd. As for the other students who had just watched the match between Haotian and Lin Fan, their bodies couldn't help but tremble. They then saw the principal kneeling on the ground looking for a wig and laughed again. It seems foolish. Haotian sat alone in the class, unsure of what to do. He hit Lin Fan and hit him very hard. Although Lin Fan was not killed, he is probably half dead. Lowering his head, he was lost in thought about something. Jiang Qing excitedly ran to Haotian's side and said, "Haotian, Principal Haotian told me that none of Lin Fan's family is in lynching now. I won't be back until 2 months later, and after 2 months, they won't be able to control you for the ability test." Lin Fan's eyes suddenly lit up and he looked at the homeroom teacher. "Really? That's great. By the way, Haotian, what exactly is your ability? Why are you so fast? Is your ability speed? Why haven't I heard of the ability of speed?" Haotian waved his hand and said, "I don't know what my ability is called." He didn't tell the class teacher the whole story. Although the class teacher is the person he trusts the most now, he still wants to keep these secrets hidden in his heart and doesn't want to tell others. In the future, it will also be convenient to handle matters, and when encountering powerful enemies, they can be taken lightly. The homeroom teacher did not ask further and saw Haotian's meaning. So, Haotian's classmates were all on leave in fear. There are only 2 or 3 people left for class in the afternoon. The next morning, the homeroom teacher posted in the group. "You are not allowed to take leave tomorrow, you must come to school." Subsequently, the next morning, the students were all trembling with fear. Jiang Qing stood on the podium and said, "Classmates, the school has decided to hold a sports meet. Let everyone relieve the pressure of the Special Ability College entrance examination. Our school's approximate projects include long distance running 1000, sprinting 150, and skipping rope. Just these few projects, everyone is eager to participate. If you want to submit a project, come forward." "Teacher, I have reported everything," said Haotian, the first person to walk up. Okay, Haotian has all joined you." Then, Haotian turned around and glanced at his classmates. Yi Qing walked up first, standing next to Haotian with trembling legs. The teacher gave me a 1000. "Okay. Yi Qing has reported 1000, is there anyone else?" As soon as everyone saw that Yi Qing had gone up, they all bravely went up and said, "All right, we have enough students in our class. Don't push forward, what are you doing?" But what every student thinks in their heart is to quickly beg you and add another project. Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to be stared at by Haotian's murderous gaze. At the beginning of the competition in the afternoon, the principal stood on the podium again and shouted loudly, "Good morning, classmates. Today, our school has decided to hold a sports meeting. We hope that everyone will not use supernatural abilities to compete normally, just for the sake of happiness and friendship, the first competition and the second competition. Now I announce the official start of the sports meet. Let's take a look at these athletes." Haotian was wearing a blue cotton jacket on the field, and everyone was wearing short clothes and shorts. He was afraid of losing, but when he saw that Haotian was competing with them, he was so scared that he couldn't stand it. Haotian looked at them in shock and said, "Aren't you guys stupid? It's over -20 degrees Celsius, and you're wearing short clothes and shorts. What Haotian said is indeed fine. It's already November and December now. It was already very cold, and Haotian is still in the northern region." The referee suddenly walked up and said, "Everyone, do your best to run out of your own light." He then raised his air gun and said, 3, 2, 1, start. Speaking, Haotian rushed out first. Is this speed faster than a cheetah? One by one, their shocked eyes were almost falling to the ground, and the few people next to Haotian dared not run at all, afraid of winning. Haotian hit them. So he ran very slowly, and the homeroom teacher looked at Haotian's speed with shock on his face. This kid's superpower is probably a cheetah. The referee announced the result. First place Haotian, 2 minutes, second place Li Jian, 10 minutes and 31 seconds. Li Jian's homeroom teacher was shocked and shouted loudly, "Didn't you run with your legs, Li Jian? How did you run for 10 minutes? You ran 100 meters in 1 minute. Did you walk over there? There's nothing wrong with that." Everything. Li Jian left because he didn't dare to run. First place in 100 meters, Haotian, second place, Li Jian. Li Jian's homeroom teacher shouted angrily, "Are you a turtle? Running so slow. Can you give me 2 minutes to run 100 meters? He Haotian, ran for 6 seconds, Bolt. He's so much faster than Bolt. Jumping rope, Haotian, 3:12, Li Wei, 1. Not Li Wei, are you disabled like Li Jian? Or something else? 1 minute jump rope, can you jump one for me? First place Haotian in 50 meters, 3 seconds, second place Li Wei in 99 seconds. Li Wei, you're really amazing at 50 meters. You ran for 99 seconds for me. Did you crawl over there? Actually, both Li Jian and Li Wei are very scared because one of them laughed faintly when Haotian awakened his ability. As for the other one, it's the one who helped him call medical staff. How could they possibly run away? They both haven't had time to hide yet, still running with him on the same track. Isn't that just a case of sheep entering the tiger's mouth? Alright, the competition has officially ended. Students, come on stage to receive the prizes. The principal said this and retreated to the side, with Haotian, the first person in 1 kilometer, taking the stage. As he spoke, Haotian stepped onto the stage and held up the certificate with one hand. On my face, Haotian wrote, "First place Haotian in 1 kilometer." Continuing on, one competition after another. The people next to Haotian kept changing, but Haotian remained standing there, holding on to the certificate with his hands. And Haotian's homeroom teacher was even more arrogant, sneering at all the homeroom teachers, "Isn't it your classmate? Is that it? And you? And you? Nothing." All the teachers looked at Haotian angrily, but didn't say anything, one by one as if they had red-eye disease. As for the principal, he was laughing wildly beside him, "Ha ha ha. Our school has produced a genius." As for the vice principal, he also laughed, "Ha. I'm going to become the principal," and as for why the vice principal is smiling, it's possible that he thinks. Chapter 9. Go to the City of Might and Magic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I think the principal is foolish, so he naively thought he was going to become the principal. But all the teachers always feel an ominous premonition when they see these two people going crazy. Some even said, "It's over. The principal is foolish, and the vice principal is not as good as anyone. How can we deal with this?" After the sports meet, school was over. Today is Friday. Haotian started his express delivery journey with daily card bugs. Efficiency is impressive. As for now, Haotian is planning to have time to visit the Power City, where the powerful powers reside, all of whom are top-notch experts and have opened some power weapon stores, etc. Therefore, Haotian has decided to go to that weapon to prepare for the power test in 2 months. Haotian glanced at the 2,000 yuan in WeChat and shook his head, saying, "It's done." Delivery mode. Speaking, Haotian immediately went crazy with delivering packages. Haotian goes to school in the morning and comes back to deliver the package in the evening. I went to the boxing gym to practice Sanda on Saturdays and Sundays when I had time. Within these 10 days, Haotian's cultivation did not fall behind and he was promoted to 1 star. Haotian found that this cultivation was becoming increasingly difficult, with only 20 cores left in his hand. Surprisingly, he spent so many cores to upgrade to 1 star. Later, Haotian looked at his phone and was shocked by the 200,000 yuan in his balance, which directly challenged his worldview. He keeps driving bugs and delivering packages every day, but he never expected to make so much profit. The food delivery manager of Meituan was also shocked. "It's not this person, is it? Did you use a special ability to deliver food? Why are you so awesome?" Haotian was so happy that he kept jumping and even jumped up to subject 3. "But isn't this 200,000 enough?" As he spoke, Haotian booked a flight ticket to the City of Supernatural Powers on his phone. Haotian opened it and saw that I relied on 300 yuan. Take my life, forget it. Haotian didn't bring anything heavy, just a phone. As he spoke, Haotian locked his home and set off for the airport. In the early morning, there were many people at the airport, densely packed. Haotian was squeezed into the crowd and finally managed to squeeze out. I thought I saw the ticket station, but what I saw was entrance station. Damn it. Squeezing into loneliness. As he spoke, he squeezed up again, and after a lot of effort, he finally arrived at the ticket station. After checking the tickets, I went to the airport. Passengers, please board the plane as soon as possible. Wishing all passengers a pleasant journey. Haotian boarded the plane. Haotian is just a 17-year-old boy who hasn't even gone out of school within a 20-mile radius. When did he take a plane? This shocked Haotian immensely. Just boarded the plane, a flight attendant wearing a red dress and black stockings walked up to Haotian in high heels. Little brother, do you want anything to eat? We have instant noodles, hot pot, milk tea, etc., and we also have Starbucks here. At this moment, the woman across from Haotian was carrying a little girl. The little girl cried and shouted, "Mom, Mom, please, buy a cup. Mom, oh, please. How expensive are the things on this plane?" Originally, Starbucks was already expensive, and you bought them on the plane. How can't you say 1,000? Haotian saw it and said something to the flight attendant, a bucket of instant noodles, a cup of Starbucks. Okay, little brother, I'll go and make instant noodles for you right away. Haotian watched the flight attendant disappear and handed the cup of Starbucks to the child. It's for you, don't cry. The child took it from his hand and chuckled. Thank you, brother. You are so kind. As soon as the woman saw the child accept it, she said to Haotian, then I'll add you. After that, I'll scan you on WeChat. How much does it cost? No need, just treat this as a gift for this little girl. The woman had no choice but to give up and thank her repeatedly. At this moment, the flight attendant walked over and said, brother, this is your instant noodles. Scan the QR code here, thank you. After Haotian finished paying the bill, he started eating instant noodles. This is Haotian's old brother, and the instant noodles have been with him for countless days and nights. Haotian had no money to buy other food before. He could only eat instant noodles, pickled vegetables, mantou, and other cheap things. Haotian finished eating and fell asleep behind the seat. After 4 hours, passengers Power City has arrived, please disembark. Haotian was awakened by the sound and followed the people one after another as he walked out. At the moment Haotian stepped out of the plane, he was shocked. He opened his big mouth in shock and his pupils doubled. Is this still considered a city? Buildings towering up to 2,300 meters rose from the ground, and there was also a psychic flying in the sky. However, suddenly he collided with a bird, causing a passionate collision, and then the person fell down. Haotian also looked shocked. Isn't that how people in the city of supernatural powers play? As he spoke, Haotian began to inquire about the people walking on the street, and the people here were also very friendly. He told Haotian that the strongest place for casting exotic weapons in the city was called Ichi-go. Haotian followed their instructions and walked to the bottom of a tall building, where 3 large characters were prominently written. Ichi Pavilion. And those 3 big characters are also shining with gold, as if they were made of gold. Haotian just wanted to enter. A little girl with a pair of ponytails, who was 15 or 16 years old, looked particularly cute and had a melon seed face. With big eyes blinking, she threw Haotian directly to the ground, and Haotian was pressed under the chest of the ponytailed girl. And the girl with a pair of ponytails looked at each other directly, making the face of this single teenager for over a decade blush. Haotian quickly stood him aside and said, "Who are you? Do you have the ability to invade me?" The little girl shouted at Haotian, "It's clear that you're blocking Mrs. Path. Are you still blocking your way? You were clearly thrown out by the Ichi Pavilion, okay? You're still relying on me." The little girl was at a loss when Haotian said this and crouched on the ground with her hands crossed. "Humph, if you don't go inside today and buy me a weapon, I'll ask my dad to beat you up. My dad is the lord of this power city. If I hit you, I'll definitely beat you to death. Are you still the daughter of the lord of the city of supernatural powers? My face is covered in gray, okay? It was obviously thrown out after being smashed, and I'll buy it for you. Do you really think I'm a big loser? Humph, I don't care." Speaking, she sat on the ground with a pair of ponytailed girl faces and cried loudly. Crying and shouting loudly, "This bad guy is bullying me." After Haotian, use your hands to block the mouth of that ponytail girl. Say. Chapter 10. Breaking Dawn, Reflecting Moon, Daughter of the Mighty City Lord. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, can't I buy it for you? Miss, please don't cry, okay? Can't I buy it for you yet? As he spoke, Haotian took the girl into the Ichi Pavilion. Tell me, what's your name? The girl with double ponytails rubbed her face with her fingers and slowly said, Moon Chin. What's the name? It's really unpleasant. Tell me, what do you want to buy? Suddenly, a young lady dressed in a black suit walked over, looking very tall. She said to Haotian, "Our weapons here are long spears, short swords, long swords, machetes, short swords, bows and arrows, daggers, and finger tigers. What do you want to buy?" Before Haotian could speak, Yuechin said first, "Bow and arrow." "I want a bow and arrow." "Okay, okay. Then go and see the bows and arrows." Haotian and Yuechin followed the young lady over. "Little brother, this is a bow and arrow specially prepared for wooden mutants, worth 20,000 yuan, made from the core of ghost vine. This is called the sun-breaking bow, which costs 30,000 yuan and was crafted by the core of the sun beast. And this is called the void bow, which was crafted by the void beast for 50,000 yuan. I want this one." "Auntie, why don't you choose the most expensive one?" "What, you don't want to buy it for me, do you? Do you believe me sitting on the ground crying? Hey, no, 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 I'll buy it for you." After speaking, I transferred the money and transferred it over. Yuechin happily held her bow and arrow in her hands. "By the way, can I add you on WeChat? You are such a good person, I must have my dad praise you." "Okay, okay, let me scan you." Speaking, Haotian added the little girl's WeChat account. "Are you okay this time? Can you leave now?" The little girl bounced out of the Ichi pavilion. "Can you take me to see the long sword?" "Okay, no problem, sir. I'll take you to the second floor." As he spoke, Haotian followed the woman to the second floor. These long swords are called Baiming, Jueying, Magic Sword, and Peshi, respectively, crafted by Baiming Beast, Thunder Shadow Beast, Demonization Beast, and an unknown little golden dragon. Haotian looked at it and immediately said, "I want this poxy." As for why I chose him, it's still because of this long sword, with a golden dragon coiled around its body, and no man can resist the handsomeness of a dragon. The sword energy is very sharp. I also want to choose a dagger. Okay, no problem, sir. Let's walk forward and you'll see it. After speaking, Haotian went forward and selected a dagger called Inua, which had a red handle all over its body and a moon. Haotian went to the checkout counter and settled the account. As soon as I left the Ichi pavilion, I met a muscular man who was followed by a few people. The muscular man instigated and said, "Little brother, what did you buy here? Let me see if it's okay." As he spoke, he stepped forward to grab it, and the few people behind him also took several steps forward. The muscular man was already a far cry from the 5 stars and Haotian. I estimate one punch can send Haotian to the sky. At this moment, suddenly a figure leaned in front of Haotian. "Young master, our lord invites you." As he spoke, he quickly knocked down all the people in the way. He directly picked up Haotian and ran towards the lord's mansion. A few minutes later, Haotian was taken to the lord's mansion. At this moment, a middle-aged man wearing blue clothes sat in his seat. "Shadow, go down." Just as he finished speaking, the man in black next to Haotian disappeared in an instant, and the city lord immediately stood up. He walked over to Haotian, who was still at a loss. "Isn't that right? Didn't I just stay outside? Why did I just come straight to the lord's mansion?" "Little brother, thank you for taking care of my daughter outside. Her personality is a bit extreme, so she always doesn't listen to what I say, so she doesn't bring the finance department to the Ichi pavilion to ask for weapons. But the Ichi pavilion has never seen my daughter and thought she was pretending. It's thanks to you for coming out. Not only did you catch my daughter and prevent her from getting injured, but you also bought her a bow and arrow. Thank you very much." At this moment, Haotian looked bewildered and said, "It's not that child, it's really your daughter." "That's right, I only have such a daughter. After her mother gave birth to him, she left, leaving only us father and daughter. Thanks to you today, little brother." "Little brother, what's your name?" "Haotian, I have a banquet later, would you like to stay?" I will host a banquet for all the major factions in the city of supernatural powers, and by the way, you can also have a meal here before leaving. Haotian quickly waved his hand and refused, shaking his head like a tambourine. Suddenly, a person kicked the gate of the Lord's mansion open with their feet. Yuqin walked in from it and said, "Dad, can you please don't make things difficult for my friend? It's not my daughter, I didn't make it difficult for your friend either. Didn't I let your friend have a meal here? You go, go, go. Dad, don't make things difficult for your friend, okay?" At this moment, Haotian still thought to himself, "Ha ha ha, isn't this pure daughter slave? By the way, Dad, I'm going out to play." "Daughter, where do you want to go to play?" "Go play outside." After thinking for a moment, Yuqin said, "Hey. I want to go to our city of supernatural powers to see the lake and row boats. It seems like we can set up calming lanterns today." At this moment, the psychic city lord was also full of surprise. When did this daughter fall in love with rowing? Have you finally fallen in love with something? It's not easy. Before his father could agree, Yuqin grabbed Haotian's hand. Let's go. I'll take you to find something fun." Speaking, Yuqin dragged Haotian to the vicinity of a small lake. At this moment, it is the moment when the sunset sets over the mountains. Yuqin said, "I'm a bit hungry. Let's go eat first, okay? By the way, it's your treat." Haotian was also tormented by this little witch, and the two of them came to a restaurant again. As soon as she arrived at the restaurant, Yuqin shouted loudly, "Show me everything on the menu." Haotian's face was full of fear and he said, "Oh my, I'm going. Auntie, I don't have that much money." "Are you crazy?" "Oh, you don't need to pay, I have money." But Haotian secretly thought to himself that he still had money. What money is there? Can money be thrown out by the Ichi pavilion? Okay. The shop owner seems to have a big customer, so quickly call on his subordinates and stir-fry the dishes. Not long after, a large plate of vegetables appeared in front of the two, even taking 3 tables to fit. It was just placed on the table. Yuqin opened her cherry mouth and began to search for the food on the table. 2 minutes later, Haotian wanted to add a vegetable leaf to taste, but found that the vegetable leaf was also gone. "Aren't you? You're a gold-swallowing beast, can you eat so much? You only weigh around 80 pounds, how did you manage to eat 10 pounds of food?" Yuqin looked at Haotian and said.